Good morning. It's Market Day Report. We've arrived to the end of the week, and we'll do this with, well, what could be some fireworks today. And it's about to get started right now as Fed Chairman Jerome Powell will be speaking in Jackson Hole. And that event, now, will we get anything out of that? We don't know, but still, it's a headline event. We also have the Pro Farmer Crop Tour National Crop Production Estimates coming out 2:30 Eastern Time today. And then 30 minutes after that, USDA's August Cattle on Feed report. So plenty of things to keep on the front burners here today. All right, let's open the oven, see what's been cooking overnight. How about the corn market? Well, unchanged on the old crop, and down just one tick on the new crop at 411.5. Soybeans got a good run yesterday, led by bean oil. Well, November beans overnight, 1059.5. That's up 3.5. And what about bean oil in the overnight trade? Yeah, higher across the board, 53s and 54s again across the board. Wheat market down 1 in Chicago overnight. Hard red down a penny. Spring wheat contracts were higher, and the cotton market in the overnight session up 47. Brian Hoops is president, Midwest Market Solutions. I rolled out all of these things that we've got cooking today. And, well, we also had a little bit of a surprise in flash sales, too.
Right. Good morning, Tony. Yeah, I had a couple more corn sales this morning. 120,000 corn sold to Costa Rica and about 140,000 or so sold to Spain. So it wasn't Mexico, but a couple other buyers. We're getting a lot of countries stepping in and buying, and that's exactly what we need to have happen if we're going to reach a record export profile that the USDA says we're going to. So we'll love to see China at some point step in and buy some U.S. corn and soybeans, and so far that hasn't happened. There was a rumor yesterday that China had bought some beans, mainly because basis levels improved in the Gulf, but there's no confirmation of that. We didn't see anything on the news wires this morning to substantiate that. So at this point, it seems to be all talk and rumors. Of course, bean oil had a huge rally yesterday, led the market higher, helped to support a big rally in soybeans and spilled over into corn. Funds were massive buyers yesterday, around 20,000 contracts of corn and about 18,000 contracts of soybeans and 14,000 soybean oil. So it's a lot of that short covering that we're seeing in these markets just has not spilled over into the wheat market yet. Pro Farmer Tour has concluded, and they found some really big yields, no doubt about it. Probably when they announce the final results this afternoon, probably will be record large tour results from the Pro Farmer Tour. Now, they may be down from what the USDA has to say, and that's what's helped this market rally in the face of these record type yields being reported by Pro Farmer, is the fact that, yes, these are big yields, but maybe the market's already dialed in some of these yield increases from that we saw last week from the USDA. That's kind of been factored in the market, and now we're starting to look ahead that maybe without a lot of rain into the end of August, we will not finish this crop off quite as impressively as what we had thought earlier, and maybe yields will start to come down in subsequent supply and demand reports.
You know, we talk about a record corn crop that's kind of teed up for us this year. But speaking of records, we hit another record high in the feeder market yesterday. So hang on, Brian. We'll be right back. We'll talk about that. Market Day Report continues after this. About more record highs in the cattle market. We'll talk about that in just a moment. What's ahead for that cattle on feed report? Right now, live cattle futures finished the session yesterday. Mixed territory. August unchanged, 238.52. The October down 7, 234.77. And the D's and beyond all in higher territory. Then we roll over to the feeders, and this is where we saw it, $359 a hundredweight. That was the September contract's high yesterday. And then we pulled back, settling at 358.65. So we'll keep an eye on the September contract and see if there's enough support there to push it up above 359. I guess the next level, 360. Could it go? Well, we have hogs. Hogs finishing the session higher, with the exception of that October at 89.90 down a nickel. Let's go back to Springfield, Missouri. Brian Hoops, Midwest Market Solutions. So is that 60 the next level, that 360?
It seems like it, and the market just keeps wanting to test those upper levels each and every day. We talked yesterday about the premium. The futures are holding to the index, and index did jump yesterday about $1.50. So futures kind of accommodated and rallied yesterday, or tried to, making some new highs. That's still that almost $10 premium is very rich, and at some point we're going to have to correct that. We have until next week, next Thursday, when that August contract goes off the board, before really it has to join up and match up together. And most likely we're going to see a combination of those futures coming down, maybe that index continuing to move higher, because the sale barns still that activity has been pretty strong this week overall. Sales out in the country pretty much non-existent in the Southern Plains. There's been a little bit of cattle. Again, these cattle that were sold in Kansas yesterday seemingly are being moved into the north, and Texas hasn't traded again. So we're 2 weeks now. We haven't seen any cash cattle trade out of Texas. Maybe we'll see some later today. Cattle on feed report comes out. I think that's going to be a big market mover, or maybe it has been already for this week. The placement numbers are almost 9 to 10% less than a year ago. That looks to be very supportive for this market, very bullish for the cattle industry overall. And unless we see a big surprise there, this cattle market seems to have a correction on profit taking, and those corrections have been bought just almost each and every time.
Yeah, Brian, I'm glad you said that. On feed number, according to the Dow Jones, the average trade guess 98.1. The marketing's 94.1, and I threw the marketings in before the placements because that's really where we got the surprise in the last one. Even though the average trade guess is 91.1, it's a pretty wide range in there. Again, this could be interesting later today.
Will be. Yes, it will be for sure.
All
Cold
right.
storage, 8 o'clock as well.
Brian Hoops is with Midwest Market Solutions, and